Let's say you have a big project coming up. The project is supposed to be original, unique, creative, but you don't even know where to start. Maybe this isn't your thing. Maybe you're not a creative person. However, according to science, there's a pretty good chance that you can come up with creative ideas. Take these shapes, for instance. They're simple, small, a little boring maybe. What if I told you that these simple shapes are the building blocks of creativity? In 1995, psychologist Robert Finke designed an experiment that challenged people to come up with a creative invention using 3 of these parts. Surprisingly, 68% of the people came up with a new preinventive form that was both creative and useful, including the universal reacher, which can be shaped and bent to grab things in hard-to-reach places, and the pogo plop, which can be used as a pogo stick, chair, or swing. So chances are that you, the normal, everyday student, are creative too. But what is creativity? Artist Henry Matisse says creativity takes courage. Dancer Twyla Tharp says creativity is an act of defiance. And writer Maya Angelou says you can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. Clearly, creativity means different things to different people. Yet, every day, people come up with creative solutions to the world's problems and make new original projects. And creativity is where this all starts. This video will show you how to come up with a creative project idea, what to do when you get stuck, and how to finish your project. How do you come up with a creative idea? Knowing where to start can be tricky. Many times when we have to come up with an idea, we try to force ourselves to brainstorm. This is called directed thinking, in which our thoughts are purposeful and goal-oriented. When we brainstorm, we are directing our thinking towards our goal, coming up with a new idea. Another way to come up with great ideas is to actually force our brains to be bored. As contradictory as it sounds, thinking about nothing in particular can often foster our best ideas. Even if we aren't thinking about anything, our brains are always active. When we are doing a mundane task, such as folding laundry or mowing the lawn, our brain goes into default mode, which allows our minds to wander. This act of daydreaming is known as undirected thinking. When we do this, our brains can actually form even more neural connections. These connections allow us to solve problems and connect ideas more effectively. A great activity that you can do to exercise undirected thinking is to draw circles all over a blank page of paper. Once you have drawn out all your circles, come up with ways to turn them into drawings. For example, maybe you see Harry Potter's glasses in 2 adjacent circles. Activities like this can help you think outside of the box and become that much more creative. Ironically, being bored gives us a good chance of coming up with an amazingly creative idea. Simple activities like going outside or even staring out a window can allow our minds to think in new ways, and a creative idea may follow. With a good idea is easier said than done. If you're like me, sometimes you just get stuck. Completing your project comes to a grinding halt not because you don't want to finish it, but because your brain goes completely blank. This can be frustrating to deal with, but there are some things you can do to get the creative juices flowing again. First, if you hit a creative block, it might be time to take a break and engage in undirected thinking. One of the best ways to do this is to avoid picking up your phone or playing video games. Instead, try going outside for a walk or listening to music. Why? Even though you can't sense it, there are unconscious thought processes in your brain working to solve the problem for you. This is called incubation. You never know, you may encounter illumination, which is defined as having an aha moment that allows you to continue working. At the very least, you'll feel refreshed and ready to tackle the assignment once more. Second, try thinking outside the box. We hear this saying a lot, but there is actually a scientific principle behind it. Often we are prevented from solving problems because we get stuck viewing it one particular way. This is called fixation, and it can prevent us from seeing even the simplest of solutions. When we get stuck viewing objects in particular as having only one purpose, this is called functional fixedness. My favorite example of overcoming functional fixedness has to do with this toothbrush. Back in 2010, astronauts on the International Space Station suffered a power outage. They could not complete the repair because there were metal shavings stuck around and inside some of the bolts. The solution? Use a modified toothbrush to clean it out. A toothbrush is not meant to be used as a repair tool, it's for hygiene. But when the astronauts overcame functional fixedness, they were able to use it as a life-saving tool. Similarly, sometimes all it takes is a change of perspective to come up with a creative idea or solve a problem. The next question is, how do we execute it? Our suggestion is means-end analysis. Means-end analysis is a technique that is used to achieve a goal by reducing the difference between your current state and the goal state, which means moving closer to your destination from where you are right now. But how exactly do we do that? In means-end analysis, we come up with sub-goals that will help us approach our goal step by step. This is called organizational planning. For example, suppose that you are assigned to visually demonstrate creativity for a project. You come up with the idea that you want to use LED light bulbs to shape a brain. Now apply the means-end analysis. Your goal is to shape a brain with LED light bulbs, and sub-goals would be searching online to see an outline of the brain, getting a circuit board, drawing the outline of the brain on the circuit board, and placing the light bulbs along the outline. Now that you have learned means-end analysis, you can start approaching your creative projects by taking little steps towards them. It seems that being creative isn't so hard after all. In this video, you learned how to come up with a good idea using directed and undirected thinking. You learned that taking breaks and thinking outside the box can help you when you run into fixation and functional fixedness. And you learned how to use means-end analysis to complete your project one step at a time. Whether it's a science fair poster, an English paper, or a painting, anyone can come up with a creative project. Your brain is made to be one of a kind and original. And by learning how it works, you can take advantage of all it has to offer.